We are on the planet of Solace, a horrible planet trapped in an endless ice age. A planet where all would be gone if not for the mysterious tower called the Solforge, a monolithic structure that pierces the clouds. This structure sends magic to all places in Solace, and all of us are one of the Forgeborn. Powerful heroes that use the magic from the Soulforge directly, giving us great and even terrible abilities. Currently, there is 4 societies that exist on Solace. First, there is the Aloyan, developers of technomancy, who have the ability to replace flesh and bone with steel and circuitry. Second, there is the Tempest, who saw the cold as a challenge, who used magic to traverse the frozen wastelands in small, nomadic tribes. Then there is the Utera, who burrowed deep into the planet's crust, using biomancy to build wondrous fungal habitats for the myriad of creatures they have saved from extinction. And there is the Necrium, who have mastered necromancy and have become a civilization of undeath, where the dead rule over the living. Solforge Fusion is a 1v1 game where each player is a Forgeborn trying to gain supremacy over the other. To do this is quite simple. Grind their opponent into the dust to absorb their power. Each Forgeborn will have 50 hit points. You win if you can make your opponent reach 0, or to have more hit points after 4 cycles. A typical turn in Solforge is comprised of 4 actions. The player with the Forge, which is this card, starts, and then the alternate player plays a card, and they alternate again until both players have played 2 cards. Such as in this game, where we have the board set up, each player has 5 cards. And it is Ironbeard versus Nyx. Since Ironbeard has the Forge, that means he will play the first and the third card. Nyx, since she does not have the Forge, will play the second and the fourth card. To begin, we're going to begin with Ironbeard. And let's have him play a creature to a lane. On this board, there is 5 different lanes for a creature to get played to. In a single lane, there can only be 1 creature played per player. Ironbird has the Forge, which means he is on the aggressive and will be playing cards to the front of his lane, which means they are getting launched at the opponent's Forgeborn after Nyx. Nyx will be playing cards to the back of her lane, which means she is defending herself with creatures. Nyx is going to respond by playing her own creature. we are going to play Zymus to the back. Nyx plays Zymus in front of the Steadfast Assassin. This looks like Zymus is going to stop the Steadfast Assassin from attacking Nyx, but the Assassin actually has stealth. That means that the Assassin will still attack Nyx if the creature opposing the Steadfast Assassin is in this back row instead of being in the front. Ironbeard is feeling confident and wants to get more damage out onto the board. So he decides to play the Palladium Simulacrum, which has some crazy abilities. First, Palladium has mobility. Normally, once you play a creature to a lane, they are stuck there. Well, not a creature with mobility. They can use that to move once per round. Mobility 1 means that Palladium can move one lane to the left or to the right. If it was mobility 2, it could move up to 2 lanes to the left and to the right, and so forth with mobility 3 and plus. But remember, mobility does not allow you to move into a lane that already has a creature. Palladium is going to move to the left, which means he gets to go up 2 damage, because his other ability says, when a creature moves lanes, give this +2 attack. This attack is permanent, which also means if Nyx ever had a card that lowered the attack, that would also be permanent. Ironbeard has a lot of damage coming into the board. But unfortunately for Ironbeard, Nyx has a kind of a nasty plan in store. Nyx is going to play a Blight Witch to the field. The Blight Witch has an activate feature. If the Blight Witch destroys one of the other creatures that the Forgeborn controls, she can use that destruction to play a level 1 spell for free. So Blight Witch is going to activate her ability. She'll nix it like that to show that she used her activate ability. And Zymus will be killed and sent to the banished pile. But wait, Zymus has an ability. And this is destroyed, reanimated to the same lane with +2 attack, and it loses all printed abilities. That means Zymus comes right back to the field, but gets 2 additional attack, but all other printed text is lost, which means if he dies again, he will die for good and go to the banished pile. Now, Blight Witch. She killed Zymus for a reason. She wanted to play a level 1 spell for free. Normally, when you play a card, you're using one of your 2 actions. Free means you can play a card from your hand without using one of your activates. And she happens to have Virix Embrace, a spell doesn't get played to a lane. It just gets played in general, which means you can go and resolve its effects. And it says, deal 4 damage to a creature, and you gain 4 health. There is 4 damage that can be dealt to a creature. Now, normally, Blight Witch could not kill the Palladium Simulacrum because its health is too high. But Vyric's Embrace means I can deal 4 damage to a creature. So I can make its health go down by 4, down to 2. And it also says I gain 4 health, which means Nyx just goes from 50 health to 54. Well, this has been quite a change. After Vyric's Embrace, this will get sent to the banished pile. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this banished pile. So after you play a card, it gets banished forever, never to return. But that doesn't mean you won't see this spell again. Actually, on the contrary, you will see a more powerful version. In the corner of your board, you're going to have something called upgrade cards. Upgrade cards level up whenever you use a spell. Look at that. I have Vyric's Embrace over here. Level 1. But now, in here, I see the level 2 version of Vyric's Embrace. This says, deal 6 damage to a creature, and you gain 6 life. Which is definitely better than dealing 4 and gaining 4 life. This is the upgraded version of Vyric's Embrace. After 3 turns, which is, remember, each player playing 2 cards, plus any free cards that they're able to kick off, there's going to be 3 turns. And then after that, all of the cards in your discard go back into your deck. So after the second and third turn, Vyric's Embrace, level 2, is going to be back into the deck. More powerful than ever. Meaning that for future uses of the card, it's going to be able to deal more damage and gain more life. But this doesn't just happen with spells. This also happens with creatures. Blight's Witch is also in here. And Blight Witch says, destroy another one of your creatures to play a spell for free. No longer are we limited to the level 1 spells. Now Blight Witch can play anything for destroying another one of her creatures. And if we look again, here's Zymus. He also got upgraded. When this is destroyed, reanimate to the same lane with plus 4 attack, and it loses all printed abilities. You always upgrade a card whenever you play it. So that is why there is 3 cards in their discard versus Ironbeard over here, who has only played Palladium Simulacrum and Steadfast Assassin. He only has 2 cards in his discard pile. He has a more upgraded version of the Steadfast Assassin, which has 12 attack and 9 life. It's also still a stealth. And also the Palladium Simulacrum has 4 attack and 9 life. But now when a creature moves lanes, it gives it plus 3 attack. Quite powerful indeed, I see. So later on in the game, we're going to see these level 2s and 3s starting to appear. Because whenever you play a level 2, you will also get to upgrade to a level 3. So if I search this deck and take a look At Vyric's Embrace, look at this. After we play level 2, then there will be level 3, which is even more powerful. But that is only possible when you play the level 2 version of Vyric's Embrace to the board. So now that we've talked about Banished and upgrading, I think it's damn right time that we get to some combat. Combat is always done simultaneously. That means these creatures are attacking and these creatures are attacking, which has the added effect that if you were to ever deal damage and you would get an effect for dealing damage, you would make sure you resolve all lanes of combat until before you do that. Let's start over here. Steadfast Assassin is standing in the front. Simus is standing in the back. Steadfast Assassin runs forward into this lane and is able to get around Zymus because of his stealth, which means Nyx is going to lose 4 life. 1, 2, 3, 4. But Palladium Simulacrum, he doesn't have stealth. And also, if he is left alone for too long, this +2 attack could start becoming pretty crazy if he's able to get even more mobility creatures out there. So for that reason, Nyx decided to make the Blight Witch put him into combat range. So now, what's going to happen is Palladium Simulacrum, who's aggressive, is going to attack Nyx, but Blight Witch is going to meet him. And that means that this is going to deal 4 damage to the Blight Witch, but it's going to deal 3 damage to the Palladium Simulacrum, making him hit 0. Forcing Palladium Simulacrum to flee to the banished pile because he is now dead. Alright. After combat, the round is now over. Zymus will move to the front of the lane. Blight Witch will move to the front of her lane. The Forge will flip. Steadfast Assassin stays where it is, because creatures can stay in aggressive positions and they don't flee back whenever the Forge is flipped. That just means that Nyx is now in an aggressive position and is able to play all of her cards to the front of the lanes, whereas Ironbeard now has to play all of his cards to the back. I do hope that you decide to pick up Solforge Fusion, for this is a very exciting game with a lot of different twists and turns. So I hope to see you on the planet of Solace, because all of us need to declare and receive the power from the Solforge. At this point, you know the basics of Solforge Fusion. This is not meant to teach you all of the rules. This is meant to get you hype and wanting to look into more into the Solforge Fusion. Become one of the Forgeborn and fight with us and against us. Welcome to the planet of Solace. Thank you for watching my video. I know this isn't a overarching about all of the rules in the game. Solforge Fusion is a complicated game, but very easy to pick up and understand. There is a lot of different abilities, for instance. For instance, there's a lot of different keywords that are part of the game. Activate, adjacent, aggressive, armor. All of these are quite simple to understand. For instance, reanimate. Play a card from your banish pile. That's why we were able to bring back Zymus. You can do other things, like strikeling, battling. I encourage you to show this to your friends. Give them a feeling of what Soulforge Fusion is. Because what this is a very unique game with a very unique competitive model. Down in the description, I'll give links to the rules and also to the official Soulforge Fusion website. If you would like to see more videos, or if you have any questions about Soulforge Fusion, which you might have a lot, feel free to ask in the comments below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you, and have a great day.